Before I go into example number one, I do want to touch on the slide that had where the x's, quote, cancel. And I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more. So anytime you have the big numbers, the coefficients, you just do what the operation says. So 10 divided by 5, of course, is 2. So when I say this x and this x cancel, usually when we say cancel, we think of 0. But dividing, it actually turns into a 1. And we know with multiplication, ones are invisible, right? Like all x's have an invisible 1 in front of them because it's 1 times x. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. So that's why even though these x's turn into a 1, 10 times 1 is still 10, 5 times 1 is still 5, so it's still 10 divided by 5, which is 2. So no matter how many of these will divide, they turn into ones, so it doesn't change these coefficients at all. All it does is change how many of the variables you have left. So we have 1, 2, 3, which is x to the third. Just wanted to touch on that a little bit more than what that slide did with a little bit of an explanation. So that's where the subtraction comes from, because we know the rules of multiplying is to multiply your coefficients and add your exponents. So dividing is the opposite of multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. The opposite of adding your exponents, of course, is subtracting your exponents. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to pretend the variables aren't there. If this was just 4 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Then I'll have 12 x's on the top and 8 x's on the bottom. So 12 subtract the 8 that would divide out would leave me with 4 x's. 12 minus 8 is 4. Just like 5 minus 2 was 3. Then the y's, I've got 4 minus 4. So here's the thing with this one. You are not going to put a y here because those will divide out to just 1, and multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. So a wrong answer would be 2x to the fourth y. That's wrong because that y would have an invisible 1. And I don't have 1 y left over. I have 0 y's left over. This is also an explanation. I just want to touch on this real quick. So y to the fourth, because this will pop up in one of your worksheets. So I want to address it kind of while we're here. So y to the fourth minus y to the fourth. Y to the fourth divided by y to the fourth. 4 minus 4 is 0. So this is y to the 0 power. And anything divided by itself is 1. So we haven't touched on this, but anything to the 0 power is 1 because it's that divided by itself. Okay, so 0 power will always turn to 1. When we do our next set of notes, I'll explain that even further, but kind of put this in your mind kind of as a side note. But for us, this is our answer for today. These will you'll mark those out.